What a ball. 4-1, Ferran Torres is in on the act. Sterling. De Bruyne spotted the pass. Sterling cutting it back. Mahrez. Number 5. Second of the night for Riyad Mahrez. Palmer. He's got options to his left and to his right. Going to go it alone. And what a decision it was. Lovely goal from Cole Palmer.
Grealish and Mahrez the candidates to take. Taken by Mahrez, and it finds its way into the net. Riyad Mahrez scores from the free kick. Grealish, Guardiola orders him to play down the line. Alvarez in possession. Alvarez cross field to Mahrez. Mahrez brings it down perfectly, takes on Cucurella, goes for goal and falls loose. Alvarez finishes off. 2-0 to Manchester City.
Oh, that's a poor back pass, and McAtee is in, and he's just forced away from goal, and Grealish is onto it, and now Doku's onto it, and Doku scores. Well, Watford tried to play out from the back. You can't do that in a sloppy manner against City. Lewis to McAtee, and back to Lewis, and on to Núñez, and Núñez hits the left foot into the corner of the net. Matheus Núñez gets his first City goal, and it'll mean an awful lot to him that he has as well.
We have a plan, we have great football players, we just need to make sure that we, no matter what happens, just following the game plan and sticking to that.
The players are with us here.
Alex Greenwood has had one final word with her players. Andre Yeglert, hoping his side can start in a much stronger fashion here tonight.
Ferdinand strikes it brilliantly. Vivian Miedema, and that's Manchester City's second of the night. Kirsten Kasperite. Going to be a debut for their new number 6, Grace Clinton. Carolyn pulls it back. There is the goal. It's a debut goal for Grace Clinton. Laura Coombs, it is 5. 5 goals, 5 different goal scorers, and a debut goal for Grace Clinton may grab the headlines.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live tonight from the Joy Stadium as Manchester City women prepare for their first League Cup game of the campaign. The group stages where they'll take on Everton tonight. We're bringing you the whole game live on City Plus. Alongside me, a woman who's won it a fair few times. In fact, was very quick to point out when I said, "You've won this a few times, haven't you?" She went, "Yeah, 4." Very quickly.
So I'm not that
Karen
keen,
Bartley.
am I? It's a very, it's a competition that's very close to my heart. It was a first trophy that we obviously won together as a club, and at the time, that first season, I don't think anyone expected us to win it, so it kind of reinvigorated our season, but I think gave belief in us at the project, and to be honest, the rest of the club, that the project was going to work, that women's football was worth investing in, and, it's proven its point, hasn't it?
It certainly has. As you say, 4 times they've won it since Manchester City. In respect to that, then, special to you, as it was your first trophy, it could be Andre Yeglert's first trophy, and therefore how serious do you think he's going to take this competition?
I think any opportunity to win a trophy from a player's perspective and from a manager that obviously is new in the position as well, I think is obviously going to want to start, on the front foot. We're keeping the cliches, aren't we, here? But he's going to want to impress. He's going to want to, have the opportunity to bring a trophy back to Manchester City. So I imagine that we'll probably see a nicely balanced team today, some experience and, hopefully some youth as well.
And within that, they take on Everton tonight. We're going to look at their team in a little bit more detail later on. But City will be overwhelming favourites for this one?
I think so. I think they've been in great form, obviously beating Spurs 5-1. There's so many chances created. Fujino to set the scoring off, scored an absolute corker from outside the area. So I'm hoping to see more of that. But yeah, I can imagine, we might see a few tweaks and changes here, but I'm hoping to see some players that haven't had a lot of time this season. But yeah, up and down form for Everton, obviously. fantastic performance against Liverpool early, game week 1. But yeah, they've been struggling to find their feet since. But yeah, I would say that City should win this tonight.
Well, so far this season, Manchester City have scored 8 goals by 8 different goal scorers. Let's have a look at the team and see if we can maybe make that 9 from 9 tonight. There are 4 that only remain from the weekend win over Spurs last Friday night. Eartha Cummings gets her first start in a Manchester City shirt since the move from Rosengard in the summer. The back 3, Pryor, Rose and Wahabi. It's a midfield 4 of Laezel, Hasegawa, Blinkilda Brown and Imam Benet back into the starting 11. Laura Coombs, who got that 5th goal on Friday night, starts alongside Shaw, and Grace Clinton, who gets her first start in a Manchester City shirt this season since her move. Let's start with Grace Clinton. Comes with a whole load of promise. Capped it off with a debut goal last week.
Yeah, it's great to see her in the starting 11. I think she's come over from United with some real intention. She said she was really excited to play here, and the ambitions of this club matched her own. So I really like that about her. But yeah, to come on and obviously get a goal and contribute to keeping that momentum going would have been a great start for her. But to get the opportunity to play a full 90 tonight, hopefully as well, she can bag a few more, because she's a great player and hopefully she'll shine.
It'd be stupid of us not to have a former goalkeeper and talk about the current goalkeeper today. Debut for Eartha Cummings.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how she gets on. I think obviously she had a lot of success at Rosengård as well in Sweden, and notoriously a fantastic club that develops a lot of talent as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how her debut goes. But the competition for spaces in the goalkeeper union is so tight at the minute. It was kind of half and half whether we were going to see Yamashita or Cummings tonight. So, yeah, really interesting choice. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she gets on. But she's experienced. She's going to be composed. She's a great shot stopper. So hopefully she doesn't have too much to do, though.
And when the team news dropped, first thing you pretty much said to me was how excited you are by the midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Yui Hasegawa obviously stands out. She's pivotal to this team as well. Just keeps things ticking over. But one change we've seen is her obviously getting further forward and even pulling out into wide areas as well, just being that overload at times. So, she's getting further up. She's creating opportunities to score, but also bagging a few herself. So I think that's really exciting. And then, when you look at the left side, particularly like bringing Benet on, that attacking wing back, it's just going to be so exciting to watch.
So Manchester City coming to this one on the back of 2 successive wins. Can they make it 3 from 3 and perhaps start the season, the League Cup season, with a win tonight as well? We'll hear from the manager shortly, but let's go from the Joy Stadium into the studio where Natalie Pike is with us with some very special guests as well.
Oh, yay! That's Mike Minay and Karen Barty. I love them both. They are pitchside inside the Joy Stadium tonight as Matchday Live brings you coverage of both the women's and the men's League Cup games tonight. What an exciting night of football we have ahead for you. Now, I'm joined in the studio by 2 legends. Now, I asked AI to write me an introduction for Paul Dickoff and Andy Morrison. This is what it offered me. And I said short, by the way, as well. You can pick your favourite, gents. OK, offered me the enforcer and the finisher. Not bad, OK.
I was a good finisher.
Yeah. It also offered me the muscle and the mischief.
Yeah, he was very mischievous. He was.
The tank and the terrier.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, that's not far
that's
off,
probably the best one.
OK, and then the last one it gave me was a captain who frightened opponents and a striker who annoyed them.
That's not far off, is it?
I think that's probably the best one. That one.
There we go. Shout out to AI for the brilliant introduction, Paul Dickoff and Andy Morrison. Lovely to see you both.
And that.
Thank you for being here tonight, Paul. Of course, we're going to talk about the men's and the women's games tonight. If we start off with a quick word on the women's team so far this season, what have you made, Paul?
Yeah, look, 2 wins in the bounce after losing the first game against Chelsea, where they were slightly unlucky as well. Went 2-0 down. Obviously, got the own goal to go back in the game and could have got something out of it. But I think these next few games are going to be a little bit of transition. New manager coming in. But all in all, there's no shame in getting beat to Chelsea the way they've been the last few seasons. So 2 wins in a row and hopefully make it 3 tonight.
Hopefully. I'd love to see us. Love this competition. I'd love to see us with a trophy at the end of the season. Andy, I always enjoy speaking to you with your managerial head on. Obviously, our new manager, Andre, this season. So far in the games, he keeps changing his shape. I wanted to pick your brains on it. So, 3-5-2, it looks like 3 at the back tonight, but he's also played 4-3-3. He's also played 4-2-3-1. In modern management, is being tactically flexible, how important is it? Do you think maybe he's still finding his feet on what his favourite team is, or do you think it is that importance of being flexible?
I think you've got to be flexible, but for me, with a tactical head on. You know, you're always thinking about the opponents. You're not moving away from what your key principles are. You know, your playing philosophy, how you want to look and how I want my team to look. But you're respectful of the opposition. And I think you're in your best position as a manager when you know you're inferior or superior. I think when you're not too sure where you are, you gauge how you set up. And if we believe we're better than the opposition, then we're going to play a way of dominating the ball. If we believe they're better than us, then we have to find a way maybe to stifle them. So the system would change. But I think your core beliefs don't change. And, you know, every day in training, you're going to have an idea of who can deal with situations. And then it's obviously the emotional side of the game. You know, when you're in game, you know, how do you deal with pressure? How you deal with the press? Are you comfy when people are coming at you from different angles? And if you're not, then you have to play a certain way, you know. And I loved listening to Pep this morning. And Pep was talking about Cruyff, saying to him, you know, when the team go man for man and all that, he said, if all you can see is the 9 and it's one-on-one, then you go to the 9. You know, don't be going playing to somebody who's man-marked and they're tight, you know. And I just thought, you know, this is the simplicity of football. Sometimes we overcomplicate it.
Especially when the number 9's Erling Haaland as well, of course. So the Women's League Cup game, 7 o'clock, you can watch the full game on City Plus. That is the place for you to get the women's game. And then the men's game, 7:45 p.m. kickoff at Huddersfield, also in the League Cup. We will be with you throughout the night. We'll give you the preview now. We'll be with you at half-time of the women's game, and then we're going to be doing a watch-along for the end of the men's game as well. So a very busy night in the MatchDay Live studio. If we switch to the men quickly, I mean, it flows lovely, given obviously the Arsenal game as well. We saw Pep Guardiola, for me, the greatest manager of all time, with such a distinct way that man is known for playing football. And it was like he just threw the book out on Sunday. And I loved it, Andy. Seeing him be pragmatic and change up the way that we play, I loved it. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was surprised, because I have seen moments in the games where, you know, we're not happy to retreat, but just to find a deeper block, and we look solid. And it's very, very hard to break down when everybody gets into a position. When both fullbacks, or the fullback on the opposite side, can see his winger, can see the ball, it's very hard to get on the inside. We normally get hurt when we're recovering. So your fullbacks are high, and then they're trying to recover, and you see that ball that gets played from one side across the 6-yard line, and the opposite fullback trying to get back in. But it's very hard to break it down when it's solid, and you know, and you've got obviously the keeper, you know, in the form that he's in. But, you know, the irony is that the one time that we had a counter-attack later on in the game at about the 90th minute, and we had a half a sniff of a chance, was the one time that we were then open to the ball in behind. If we hadn't had the attack, you know, then we would have been solid shape and maybe seen the game out. And, you know, it has happened before. I go back to Real Madrid game when we got knocked out, I think, 2022, and they scored very late on. You know, Jack had just had a great chance to score. They then put a ball in from where Jack would normally be stood to block off and stop the cross, and they won it. So there's so many permutations. But was I surprised? No. Because I do think that the coaches are influencing that. You know, we can't always know that we learn from your mistakes. The Brighton game, 1-0 at half-time, and probably too open, expansive, and we take nothing from the game. You know, and against Arsenal going into that game, we'd have been delighted with a point. The way it panned out, maybe not at the end. But, you know, I think the manager knows how he wants to play, and I think when he believes that the rhythm and the timing and the solutions that he has in his head and begins to see them, I think we'll begin to go back to dominating like we did to 70+% in every game.
Paul, let's have a look at the Haaland goal again. I'd love to get your striker's opinion on it. For me, I feel like this season we are seeing a slightly different side to Erling Haaland, and perhaps that's because he's not getting as many balls into the box. He's having to come deeper to win the ball. But what did you make of this goal?
It's ridiculous for a start. Look, the little touch he takes in his own half, his 10 yards in his own half, was fantastic. A lot of centre forwards there would take their touch and they would be happy with the touch going into him. You know, as soon as he's laid the ball off, he's off on his bike. Look, what I love the most about this, not a lot, is that little touch there. That is that is world class. People don't realise to be going at the pace he's going at, leaving everybody for dead, knowing that the ball's going to come, so he's got time to think about it. That touch there sets him up for the goal. That's outstanding. And we're seeing it more and more. Me and Andy were talking off camera before about the space Erling's now getting to run in behind, and that there's nobody better in world football at doing that at the minute. And we can talk about his goals in his first season, second season, third season. His all-round play in the games we've played so far this season is the best form of Erling Haaland I've seen. Holding the ball up, backing into defenders, bullying defenders, and then getting himself in the box and scoring goals where he's the best.
I don't think I quite realised how fast he was. When he took off there, he left Gabriel for dust, and he is not a slow man. I loved that from him. I'm enjoying the evolution of Erling Haaland this year, and obviously the leadership side of it as well seems to be really working for him, Andy. What have you made of his development this season?
Listen, I could sit here for hours talking about him. You know, when I get little things that come on Twitter and I see him sprinting up hills in the summer, you know, with his top off and that, like, you know, and he's doing 10 hill runs, and I'm just thinking, do you know what you'll do for me? Do you know, because as players, we have such respect for that. Yeah. You know, we see the depths that they'll go to in the ice
There's
baths.
no other player that was doing what he was doing this summer.
No, it's his mindset, and it's unique. And I think the very best, when you match talent with that desire away from the game to just be the best version of you. You know, I don't want to beat records, but if I'm the best version of me every day, then, you know, I know with my talent, I'm going to smash all these numbers and records that are there stood. And he keeps doing it one after the other. We're talking this morning on the radio about him. It's just remarkable what he's achieved. And yeah, you know, listen, I love watching him. You know, I loved him from day one when centre half. You can't go through the back of a striker anymore like we used to do. But, you know, when he would get tackled or it was a foul on the halfway line, he will jump up and he would sprint away and look back at the defender and almost laugh at them and goad them, like, you can't hurt me. And, you know, in an era where players want to stay down and feign injury and try and he doesn't have that in him. There's an honesty about him, and I think that's a reflection of the manager and his principles. And yeah, you know, like I say, I feel so proud of him, because of the way he carries himself and the way he plays and the way he gets off the bus on a match day and he's smiling, a big broad smile, and he wants to engage with everyone, and he's a unique talent and a unique human being as well.
He's a real model professional, it seems, as well. I want to give a shout out to the team around him as well, because I know his physio Mario now, he travels with him everywhere for the national team and looks after him here as well, and they're so into all of the things that you mentioned there, the extra things that they can be doing for recovery and for training and, you know, looking outside of the box so that he can be the 100% best, fittest, you know, psychologically and you know, and in his body as well, version of himself. I couldn't agree more with you.
That's the biggest thing for me, is his mentality.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about the goals he scored and how quick he is. His mentality is unbelievable, and he's still young. He's 23, 24 years old, and the biggest thing about his mentality is he wants to get better all the time. You know, how many kids have we seen at that age that are...
Yeah, and then the last one that comes to mind who had that mentality was Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You know, when we saw the sacrifices and how he actually changed his body shape, it evolved over the years, and his mindset as well. Like, you know, when I see him in that same category, you know, eventually we'll go on to hit those numbers that he's achieved. But it's the way from the game, and it's the continual obsession relentlessly with the game and how can I be better, which you know, which has earned my utmost respect for him.
But players of that age, and you can talk about the money they earn and everything else, and the records he's breaking, the goals he's scoring, it'd be quite easy for them to get comfortable. But he's not. You know, he wants to get better all the time. Breaking records, he wants to break more records. I know for a fact that it was hurting him about people saying his hold-up play wasn't the best and he couldn't hold the ball up. What was he doing last season? Working and holding the ball. He's been exceptional. Yeah. He's been exceptional already this season at doing it.
Made more first contacts in his own box than any other player this season. First contact, clearing balls out of his box. So he's been identified as the key area. I think Rodri was the one that was in this. There's a specific zone that attracts the ball, and Haaland is in there now. And I think it was the United game. Was it United
6
game?
or 7, didn't it?
Yeah, where, you know, he's made first contact and Eddie. Like, so we can see how important he is in both boxes, and I think he's taking ownership of that as well. I see it, like, you know, when he's heading the ball out,
he's enjoying it, isn't he?
He was sprinting, and he is, like, you know, it's that leadership qualities again.
Absolutely.
And I think the manager spoke about that in depth this week. You know, about, I don't really fussed about, you know, the results. It's about how my players carry themselves, the desire to be the best version of them. And again, I could listen to the manager as well, continually wax lyrical about how the game should be played. Not just how the game should be played, but how you should carry yourself as a footballer. And it's his thing that, you know, body language, mentality, every training session, every passing drill, every pass has to be right.
We're going to talk about the Ballon d'Or a little bit later. Of course, it's happened last night. But given the fact that Norway are in such a good position so far, fingers crossed for Norway, because we would all adore to see Erling Haaland. He deserves to play on the World Cup stage, given we know how important the World Cup is towards the Ballon d'Or. I'm just saying, the way he's going, we have a great season. We very well could be talking about him next year for that. Keep my fingers absolutely crossed. Now, I don't know if we're going to see Erling Haaland tonight. We will bring you the team news a little bit later on. Obviously, we are expecting, I'm hoping that there might be some academy players in the squad tonight as well. So, Paul, are you thinking, obviously, we've got a lot of players in first team that are going to want to play in this game tonight, but are you expecting or hoping to see maybe a few of the youth players dropped in the squad?
Yeah, I think there'll be 1 or 2, maybe 3. I don't think there'll be loads of them. I don't think Pep likes to throw out debuts unless he feels it's really deserved. And then you've got people like John Stones, you've got Savinho, who are going to need match fitness.
Nico.
Yeah, Nico as well. James Trafford and goal.
Nathan Ake.
Nathan Ake. So I think there'll be a core of 5, 6, maybe 7 first team players, and then maybe 2 or 3 of the younger lads coming through who have never ever let the club down.
We won this competition 4 years in a row with Pep. We haven't done so well in the last couple of years. I love it, Andy. I love winning a trophy in February or March. I love it. And also I love the momentum, and I love, the fact that we had 3 big games in the last week, 2 wins and a draw. I just feel like it's really important tonight that we keep the momentum going.
Yeah, there is, from the Spurs game, it was a huge, the United game was huge. It's easy after the event to say, well, it looked a really comfy victory, but that was a big, significant game. The performance had to be right, the results had to be right. And, it followed on into the Napoli game. So there were so many good things. And then the weekend as well, we took 7 points from the 9, obviously with 3 in the Champions League. And as you're right, that momentum and keep that going, that feel-good factor, which breeds confidence. And the more confidence that comes, you'd be amazed how easy it is to receive a ball and the simple things. You do them well when you're confident. It seems to just come natural to Rodri. But there were times last season where you could feel that was gone a little bit, and the confidence, starts to get knocking in. And players, I'm not saying that they don't look for the ball, but there's not the same movements. It's different. The dynamics are different, and it's felt good. The rhythm has felt really good over the last 3 games.
I think, to be fair to Pep, he's always treated this competition with a lot of respect. Yeah. And he's always said if you can get through to the latter stages, February, March time, that can really kick on confidence-wise towards the end of the season. He's never been one to throw in 10 kids and treat it with a little bit of disrespect like a lot of clubs do. He wants to win every competition he takes part in.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And they'll be wearing a number 8 on the shirt tonight. It's a thing that they're doing this year in the League Cup. Your number on the sleeve of the amount of times you've won the competition. So if you're wondering why City will have a number 8 on their sleeve tonight, it's because we have won it 8 times. So the men are playing Huddersfield away at Huddersfield. It's a very close one for us. It's about 45 minutes away from here. And that is 7:45 p.m. kickoff. Before that, the women are also playing in the League Cup. That's the Subway Cup. That is a 7 o'clock kickoff. That's at home, just over there at the Joy Stadium, and they are playing Everton. So we're going to go pitch side now, back to the Joy Stadium with the wonderful Mike Minay and the lovely Karen Bardsley. Hey, team!
Thanks, Nat. I was doing a little bit of research earlier about the League Cup and Manchester City Everton's history. You played against Everton at the Etihad Stadium in 2014. I did. Watched in the 90-odd minute as Everton hit the post as a goalkeeper. Do you remember that?
I don't remember watching. All I remember is the fact that we won. And the entire time, the academy director at the time, Mark Allen, was saying, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. And we're like, right, when's this process going to work? And fortunately, it did. But no, that was quite a memorable occasion for me.
Certainly was. Everton tonight come here. If you thought Manchester City making 7 changes was quite a lot, Everton have made 8. So this is how they line up tonight. Ramsey's the goalkeeper. We suspect that Pacheco will move to right back from her favoured left back position, with Fernandez, Ishikawa and Stenovic in the rest of the back line. Ladd and Hayashi will be in the holding midfield roles. Van Gool, Robinson and Vignola behind Momiki up front. I think before we look at Everton's starting 11 tonight, we have to look at 2 players who aren't here. Emily Brosnan, the goalkeeper, injured, and Gago, the forward, out through the concussion protocols. How big a loss is that for Everton?
Yeah, Brosnan's a stalwart, of the Everton defence. She's a great shot stopper, and obviously the Everton goal usually gets pummeled pretty heavily, so they rely on her. But Emily Ramsey is a great goalkeeper as well, so I'm sure that she'll be ready to step in, no problem. In terms of Kelly Gago as well, she's a fantastic player, was brought in the January transfer window last year and really turned their season around, almost single-handedly with her scoring form. So I think she will be a big loss, but, the likelihood, I think, is Momiki will go into striker as well. So talented striker. I played with her at OL Reign, actually, back in the day, so it's quite nice to see her again. But, yeah, there's a lot of players I think I'm really looking forward to watching.
one of a strong list that Karen's walked around this stadium and spotted and said hello to from previous links that we've noticed tonight. You can tell the time of year that we're in as well. They've just turned the floodlights on as well, which shows we are creeping sadly closer and closer to winter. Let's also talk about Vignola. If there are goals, I know you said Mimiki will most likely be the lone striker, but Vignola, that hat-trick on the opening day against Liverpool, will prove a danger.
Yeah, I think I don't know, for me, when I've watched her, I think she's probably better out left. And I know she played on the right, I think, against Liverpool and scored that fantastic hat-trick. And I think she was the first Everton player since Dixie Dean to do that at Anfield, which was quite a feat in itself. But it was just magnificent to watch, to be honest. And she'd equaled her scoring from last season in that one game. So yeah, she's really exciting, really talented, really tricky, quite quick, and driven to constantly run at the defence. So I think tonight she'll be one to keep an eye on for sure. But with Pacheco as well, I think they have a good relationship. So it'll be interesting to see how moving from one side to the other affects that relationship.
And you talk about Vignola running at the City defence. Let's talk about Pacheco, who will try and hold the City attackers at bay in the Everton defence. She's a standout character for you.
Yeah, she's got a lot of experience. I think obviously she was at Aston Villa. She's, really well known in the WSL world and quite established. But I think she's kind of come into her own in more of a leadership position here for Everton, really given a lot of license to attack and get forward and to deliver either some fantastic services into the area or drive inside for a pullback or a shot. So I think the thing for City will be, can that be exploited with her and potentially the opposite fullback getting so high up to overload that space. So I think that's going to be one thing I'm looking for tonight.
Well, they'll have a tough ask. 7 Continental Cup games, 7 League Cup games against Everton for Manchester City. 7 wins. We'll see if they can make it 8 from 8 very shortly. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks so much to Mike and to KB, who are pitchside there at the Joy Stadium. 7:45 for the men, 7 o'clock for the women. You can watch the full women's game on City Plus if you don't already subscribe. What are you doing with your life? You can get so many live games on there of the women, of the Academy, of the EDS, and also all those incredible documentaries that are just honestly phenomenally made. You will love them. So that is the women's starting 11, by the way, on the bottom of the screen. So 7 o'clock, Subway Cup against Everton here at the Joy Stadium. We're going to give you the men's team news in about 8 minutes. About 6:30, we'll do it. Maybe we'll go a minute or two early. I like to risk it. Rule breaker, Paul. So we'll give you that in about 8 minutes as well for the men's game. Now, last night, I'm sure you saw that it was Ballon d'Or time. And we want to say a big congratulations to our very own Gianluigi Donnarumma, who was named the Yashin Trophy winner. So the best goalkeeper in the world. A massive shout out to him. Obviously, it came playing for PSG, but you know what, Andy? We'll claim it as our own. We love him already.
We most certainly do. What an impact in his first game, and what a debut. If you're wanting to lay down the groundwork for the rest of your time, with the save he made and the way he dominated the box, the presence that he had, and it seemed so effortless, didn't it? Just to slip into a derby, Manchester derby, the way he did, and played a pivotal part in the game with that save.
What a save!
Yeah,
what a save!
We were stood behind it, and then you see the reaction of the players, and he looks at cameras when out of a lot of them. It's just a standard save for him.
How many times you see him do that for PSG last season to keep them in games? All the top teams, goalkeepers usually don't have a lot to do, but they pull out big saves and big moments, and that's why they're so. I'm amazed that he's here for the price we got him at.
Me too. I'm semi-baffled, but I'm fine with it.
Oh no, I'm absolutely.
I'm happy to be baffled, Paul.
Yeah, look, we all loved Ederson and what he brought.
Absolutely.
And he was sensational for the time he was here. And I know when we first signed Donnarumma, people were saying that he's not Ederson with his feet. Nobody is.
No.
But that doesn't mean he's still not good with his feet.
Exactly.
But as in shot stopping and keeping the ball out of his net and the presence he's got, there's nobody better out there.
So he was also named number 9, 9th in the Ballon d'Or list as well. Best goalkeeper in the world and number 9 in the Ballon d'Or list. Erling Haaland was number 26. And Paul, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. If Norway get to the World Cup, we know how important that is. If City have a good run in the Champions League, challenge for the Premier League, there's no reason why Erling Haaland won't dramatically jump up that list.
No, well, he should have won it a few years ago.
Yes.
They scored 52 goals and the season he had was incredible. So he's going to win it, and he's going to win it soon, so hopefully it's this season.
But the winner, obviously, Andrew. And I'm just going to call you Andrew. Oh, my goodness.
Only my mum calls me Andrew.
Yeah. Gosh, I pulled your government name out there, Andrew Morrison. I want to talk about Dembele. Obviously, he won it. I don't know if you saw his speech, but oh, my goodness, I was nearly in bits. The way he thanked his mum, he thanked his best friend. You could just see what it meant, the gratitude that was pouring through him. I mean, he won it. Some people felt like Lamine Yamal should have, but obviously he came second. He's so young. He's going to win many, many of them. Do you think Dembele was a very worthy winner?
Yeah, I think, you know, since we've moved on, I think, from Ronaldo and Messi, you know, it feels like, you know, we're kind of looking now because their numbers were so good. It just seemed so easy just to say, there's the winner. But, you know, I think the season last year, and I also think the manager, you know, in Luis Enrique, I think he's cut out the similar wood to Pep in the way he deals with the players and his demands he puts on them. And, you know, he seems an incredibly humble man, and you talked about that interview, but that's how he plays his football. And the triggers last year, you know, and how good PSG were as the season went on into the latter stages of the Champions League, his running and the ground he covered was getting towards Bernardo Silva in his prime. You know, Bernardo covered more ground than any other player in Europe, right in his pomp, like, you know, and he did that for PSG and started their pressing all over the pitch. And but the goals and the contributions he made as well. So it's a worthy winner, it really is.
Yeah, very much. Of course, Lamine Yamal at number 2 as well, Paul, and he was named the best youth player, obviously, that he was. He's going to have some career.
Yeah, he's not bad, is he? He's only 18.
18, yeah.
At the minute. Going back to Dembele, I think it made it even more incredible that he was getting a lot of criticism the first half of the season. You know, people were saying he can't score goals, he doesn't work hard enough. So I think that connection him and the manager made the second half of the season was unbelievable. The whole talk about it was at 36, 37 goals that he scored. But Andy's bang on. The PSG's press started from him.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, and they would just suffocate teams in doing it. Yamal, I think, talking about Erling's going to win it sooner rather than later. I think it's only a matter of time with him. And I'll little mention out to Vitinha. I thought he would have pushed them all really close. I thought he was the cog in the wheel that made PSG tick. And I just thought he was outstanding. You think, you know, he struggled at Wolves. He came from nowhere going to PSG, and he's slowly but surely become their main player.
So he was 3, Salah was 4, Rafinha, who I thought was going to get it at one point, he was number 5 in the men's. In the women's, Aitana Bonmati won it for a 3rd year in a row. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I was at the Champions League final. I saw her up close. I saw her in the semi-final as well. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal player. Like, what she's done for the women's game is just absolutely insane. I did, though, think that Mariona Caldenti was going to win it, so she came second. That's the Arsenal player. Obviously, she's Spanish as well, so Arsenal won the Champions League, Spain runners up to England as well. She came second. Then Alessia Russo came 3rd, an English player in 3rd, Alexia Putellas in 4th, and Chloe Kelly in 5th. So 2 English players in the top 5, but to win the Ballon d'Or 3 years in a row, Paul, you are a different level of player.
She's a level above everybody else, you know, not just for what she does for Barcelona, what she does for the Spanish team, who's full of unbelievable talent, but she's the one, when you watch Barcelona play and you watch Spain play, she's the one that stands out.
Absolutely. And I'm loving the fact that we've still got this graphic of Donnarumma on the screen there. Again, and it still baffles me, Paul, the fact that we've got the world's best goalkeeper at the price that we did. And there was a quote that Bernardo Silva said, that he said he expected some nerves when your first game is in a Manchester derby, but this guy had none. Already a huge presence in the dressing room.
Yeah, I think that really showed in the game, you know. And then, you know, with the Napoli game, there was a corner, and Haaland came in to try and pin him.
No chance.
They had no chance. You know what? It was like, you know, such presence, and you know, you could see it in his eyes, and he's literally two-handed him away with force. Haaland had to go, and then he's come and punched the ball like, you know, you're not taking my space. And that's it's not just I don't think you can act that. I think there's a presence, and I think players around you, the opposition, I think they see it. And they know it, like, you know, they know what they can push and what boundaries you can try and press with people. I think he's got such respect that people know, you know, listen, he's going to come through, and if I get in the way, I'm going to take one, because he ain't come, you know, stopping. And that's, you're not trying to install fear. It's respect, Nats, you know, and he's coming, and that shout comes. I'm going to pull away from it a little bit, you know, because if I get there first, I'm getting taken out.
But we've already seen him do a lot of big punches out.
He'd done a punch in United. I couldn't have kicked it any further than what he's come out and punched it up to nearly the halfway line. But the other thing, he's only 26. You know, you talk about your goalkeepers hitting their prime when they're 30, 31, 32. You know, 26, he made his first team debut when he was 16.
It was only a few days ago that I saw that 26, because I thought it was, for the way we got, I thought it must be early 30s.
Yeah.
Like, I was staggered.
He made his debut at 16 for AC
26 years old.
You know, so maybe
in his prime.
Maybe it shouldn't surprise us about his mentality. You know, making his debut at 16.
Yeah, he's already very
He's been in the Italian team
experienced,
for God knows how long as well, you know, so...
Well, let's see if he starts tonight, shall we? Let's have a look, because we can now give you the Manchester City starting 11 for tonight's League Cup game against Huddersfield. So there we go, and it is James Trafford in goal tonight, and then you have got Matheus Nunes. Johnny Stones is back and he's captain. Oh, I'm just probably seeing this for the first time. I'm so happy about that. Nathan Ake, and then of course O'Reilly, Lewis, Nico, Bob. Now, a name for you, Divine Mukasa. We will tell you a bit more about him, but that is his first full debut for the senior team. And then Phil Foden and Savinho. The subs bench you can see on your screen there: Donnarumma, Diaz, Reinders, Silva, Calvin Phillips, Caden Braithwaite, another one of the academy players, Jaden Heskey, another academy player, Stefan Funny, an academy player, and Regan Heskey. So I'm loving the representation of the academy on the bench there as well. So that is the Manchester City starting 11 and substitutes for the game today. So the name there that I mentioned, Divine Mukasa. First full debut for the senior team today. He is just 18 years old, a creative midfielder. We need to chat and perhaps work out where, but, you know, who knows ever where Pep is, whether he's going to be playing a false nine, whether he's going to be an out-and-out nine, whether he's going to be an attacking 10, a creative midfielder. We'll find out. But that's where he likes to play. He joined us in September 2023 from West Ham's academy. And since then, of course, he's been a regular in the under-18s team. He was part of the team that won the FA Youth Cup as well. He was also the only academy player that went on the pre-season trip to Palermo. And we saw him come on at half-time, and he was involved, if you drag your mind back to Tajani Reinders' goal, he was involved in the setup for that. There's a lot of excitement around him. The only academy player in the team, and Andy, by your own admission then, he deserves to be there.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's to go to the Palmero game, you know, and be part of that. They've obviously seen that there's, you know, there's real talent there, and you know, for one so young to make his debut in a big game in that strong team, you know, I thought there might be a couple more youngsters, but you know, there's still so many academy players that are involved in the game, and you know, I just as you said, I'm not sure. Will it be an out-and-out nine, you know, or will it be a system that'll dominate the ball?
I was just counting on my fingers there as you were saying that, Andy. That is a phenomenal team. Talking about, you know, Mukasa getting his debut today in the team from the academy. But Paul, I've just counted on my fingers. James Trafford, O'Reilly, Lewis, Bob, Mukasa and Foden.
6.
6 academy graduates start this game tonight.
It's fantastic, but I think it's even more impressive to think it's only one that's making their debut. You know, sometimes when you look at a team in this stage of the Carabao Cup and there's 6 academy players in it, maybe 2 or 3 are getting their debut, maybe 2 or 3 are getting 5, 10, 15 appearances under the belt already. But when you've got Foden, you've got Bob, you've got Trafford, you've got Nico, the first team starters in the Premier League all the time. So it just shows you how good our academy has been, and it just seems to be getting better and better all the time.
So 6 starting and 4 more on the bench, so 10 in the squad.
We could finish with 10 in the pitch. You know,
but isn't that great for any young players that you're trying to attract to the club? You know, to sort of say, listen, there's a pathway at this football club to go through, and not only just to break in, but also to spend your career at the club.
But the other ones, Andy, that are sitting in the changing room with them, they'll be sitting and watch the game tonight, who they're teammates with in the 18s or the 21s or the ADS, thinking, do you know what, Pep's giving them a chance here. Look at what they're doing, and then it gives them the boost, it gives the whole academy the boost to think, do you know, that there is a pathway here for us to go and do it.
I love the story of the Heskey brothers as well, Jaden and Regan both on the bench. I imagine just going through that with your brother as well. It just adds that extra level of loveliness to that story as well. In terms of the other players that are starting tonight, it feels like this is an opportunity for some players to stake a claim, to remind us how good they are.
Yeah, it does. You know, obviously Rico Lewis has not been involved as much as he probably would have liked to, but we all know what a fantastic player he is. It'll be interesting to see if he starts at right back or Matheus Nunes plays right back with the other one in midfield as well. I'm really pleased. I know we're talking about the ones who have come in. I'm pleased to see Phil starting again. You know, I think he's looked really sharp at the start of the season, and Phil just loves playing football. I think the more minutes he gets in games like this, the better he's going to get Nico O'Reilly, I thought, was outstanding at the weekend.
Yeah, has been for a few games now.
Against Arsenal, I think he's really, considering he was a number 10, or classed as a number 10 last year. Oscar Bob getting more minutes under his belt, Savinho coming back in as well. And then the other one's John Stones starting. You know, for me, we've got all these superstars in the squad. John Stone's my favourite player.
Yeah.
I just think he's a level above, you know, and we can keep him fit and get more games under his belt.
It is
he
the
makes
games.
such a distance, such a difference.
I did a dinner last night and we were talking about John Stones and I said, for me, when he gets to the 6th game consecutively, when he gets to the 6th game, he's in the top 3 centre-halves in world football.
100%.
And it wasn't just with blue-tinted glasses I was talking, because when he is the perfect Pep Guardiola centre-half. He can deal with one-on-ones. He taunts the opposition with the ball when he moves it. He knows when to move the ball. He knows where to be. It's just getting that period of fitness, and we've seen it. You know, over we've had periods where he's been breathtaking, and you just think this is the best centre half, you know, in world football. One of the best.
I genuinely agree with that. He's my favourite player.
But it is getting to them. You know, getting that fitness, and it's so important that, you know, you get to that 4th or 5th game, because then you're mentally sharp, you're fit, your rhythm's there, and everything's in. And then, you know, I think any club in world football would have John Stones.
John Stones does not have enough respect on his name. I always think that how he is not talked up in general, best, you know, defenders of the Premier League. Yeah. I don't get it. So I completely agree with you. I'm trying to do my where are they playing thing. So.
Good luck.
The fact that we've got so many defenders now that have the ability to step into midfield, I don't even know who's playing in defence. Who's your back four?
I think it would be Núñez, obviously John Stones, Ake, Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah.
With Lewis being the...
Rico Lewis being pushed onto midfield.
So are you thinking that it's Rico Lewis and Nico in the...
Yeah, with Phil.
With Phil.
Or Oscar, or...
Again, because, is Phil out wide?
Mikasa,
is Oscar out wide?
Yeah.
I mean, Savio's out wide.
Yeah, and we've seen Savinho come on as a 9, false 9 at the weekend.
No, oh God.
So there's 4 players there that could all play that position. But I do think Mikasa will be the one that plays the 9. You know, he tended that Palermo game that we're talking about pre-season. He played more as a number 9. He was really impressive in that game as well. But then we could Phil, all 4 of them could rotate at any point. And I'm pretty sure Pep will encourage them to do that. You know, he wants them to play with freedom as well. So you could have Phil on the left, you could have Oscar on the left, you could have Savinho on the left, you could have Mikasa on the right, you could have him as a 10. So, look, how many times have we sat here on Matchday Live and tried to guess what Pep's going to do, and I don't think we've been right once, so we'll just wait and see where the team comes out at the start.
Okay, I'm going to go for James Trafford in goal. And then the only other one I'm going to go for is Nico. I think we know where Nico will play.
Yeah.
And other than that...
John Stones, maybe.
I mean...
But he's played midfield before as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's like one of the best midfielders. Yeah. OK.
I'm going big man.
Are you...
No, I'm happy with what you said.
In terms of Nico, for me, he feels like one of those players tonight, Andy. This is a real opportunity for him to remind us and to stake a claim for a starting 11 position going forward.
Of course. I mean, you know, listen, the master's back, you know, and it's no surprise that you can feel the rhythm that's in our play when he's dictating play, and also his ability to break the opposition's counter-attacks. But, you know, he's got the perfect person to see. You know, when I remember when Rodri came in, and he must have studied Ferrandinho to look at how do I do this and how do I master it, and then also impact it with my personality. And he's gone on to do that. And Nico's got to be thinking the same. You know, you've got the Ballon d'Or winner. We're talking about the Ballon d'Or. We've got the Ballon d'Or winner and the best number 6 in world football. And I'm training with him every day. So you've got to be looking at that and saying, I can do that. I must, you know, it's the nature of a footballer to think, I can do that. Because if you're not thinking that you can take Rodri's shirt, you may as well knock on the manager's door and say, like, you know, it might not be for me, because you've got to have that mindset.
Great analogy of the Fernandinho and Rodri thing, because I think Rodri struggled when he first came in for a little bit, and it took him time to get up to pace, and, you know, having Fernandinho alongside him, I know for a fact it helped him. And Nico's only still 23, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think people think because he's been at Porto and for a couple of seasons that he's maybe a lot older and a lot more experienced what he is, and he's got so much time to learn. He's a wonderful player already. As Andy said, when he gets the chance, he's just got to take it, but believe that he's good enough to go and take it as well.
So he is in the starting 11 tonight. You can see the starting 11 on the bottom of your screen there. Very proud night for our academy. 6 academy players in the starting 11 and another 4 on the bench. That is ahead of City's League Cup game against Huddersfield. That's the men. Don't forget the women kick off at 7. That's the League Cup against Everton. That's here at the Joy Stadium, but you can watch that full game live on City Plus. Now, one of the academy players that is on the bench today is Caden Braithwaite. And did you know that it is exactly a year to the day since he made his debut in last year's Carabao Cup when we played Watford? So here he is now talking about that experience.
Listen to the ovation now for Braithwaite.
When we play Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup on the 24th of September, that will be exactly 1 year to the day since you made your senior debut for City. So, we've got some footage here that we'd like you to take a look at and talk us through that moment 1 year on. As we can see here, this is probably the first moment where we got to see you out with the team, warming up. Can you talk us through what you were thinking and feeling in this moment?
To be fair, I was a bit nervous, I'd say, like the start of the game and the warm-up as well a little bit. I was like, is this real? But to be fair, like the lads was just like they're proper good with me. They were just coaching me through the game. Even before it, they were just giving me encouragement and stuff like that. So yeah, they made me feel like very welcome. The day of the game, I found out.
And what was that moment like?
Yeah, it was madness. I was in obviously like a room like this, and he just said, I showed on the screen that I'd be starting. I was amazed, to be fair.
And you mentioned there the academy lads around you in that team. We had 6 academy graduates play that evening. Did that help you feel a little bit more settled in when you were lining 100%. Up against them there?
100%, because obviously, like, I'm speaking to them before the game, like, them talking about their experience of their debut and stuff, and like how they play now. They're just telling me to play with like freedom almost, like don't have any regrets when you go off the pitch and just play your game, to be fair.
We could see you had your game face on in that moment as you walked out, but were you able to kind of enjoy the Etihad and everything that was coming with it?
100%. I think throughout the game I feel like even just playing, like every touch was just like being like passing to like Walker and like different players it was amazing.
Just before you were substituted, we'll see it here now, that you got a little bit of cramp.
Yeah.
Did that highlight to you just how intense senior football is, making that jump up at just 16?
To be fair, I think the cramp was more nerves. I'd say it was probably a mixture of obviously like the demand of the game and then just nerves as well. But yeah, I think the expectation and the physical demand is obviously like a lot higher than academy football.
What did he say to you? Anything in particular before the game?
Nothing, he just said like he doesn't mind if I make mistakes and stuff like that, just as long as I work hard and run, that's all that he cares about. I think the biggest thing was like he had trust in me, otherwise he wouldn't have played me. And yeah, for him to say that, I feel like I could also almost play with that sense of freedom.
Listen to the ovation now for Braithwaite, and he deserves his own private ovation as well because he's graced himself with distinction. He's just a young fella, 16 years old, the 3rd youngest ever in City history. And I'll tell you what, Kit, I'm not getting overboard when I say he just looked like he was at home playing first team football.
You've been at the academy since under-9s, and when you made your debut you became the 3rd youngest debutant in the club's history. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, obviously you dream of the day when you're like so young, and to do it, it was unbelievable. I just thank everyone that got me to this point.
Caden, it was lovely to catch up with you, and we're excited to see you in the 18s more this season, and we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Caden Braithwaite there. He made his debut a year today and he is on the bench today. Andy, while he was talking there, you went, that'll do for me. What did you like what he said?
It's just the confidence, isn't it? Do you know, when it's so composed, and, you know, when I think back to, you know, when I was 17 and you see now it looks like he's been interviewed, you know, probably have now, you know, probably part of their training dealing with press and dealing with questions and situation, remaining so calm, and it looks like he could talk about anything.
Yeah, and it was a great debut as well. You know, he'd done really well, and saying before about the academy kids coming in, it's what it does for the rest of them in the academy as well, you know, showing that no matter what age you are, like 16 years old, and you've got Josko Gvardiol coming on as a sub for you, you know, but it just shows you that conveyor belt and the recruitment that the academy are doing is paying dividends, because he's going to be a wonderful player. They're probably slightly disappointed that was his own little taste for it, because he'd done so well, but he's got to look at the players that are ahead of him, and he's got so much time, because as I said, he's a wonderful player.
Yeah, so he made his debut at 16 years old. I'm going to try and test both of your memories now and ask you, can you remember your professional debut, your senior debut? How old were you? What was the game? Because I've got it written down here.
Well, let's hope it coincides with what I remember.
I hope what's right here is right. I feel like you'll know.
Yeah. Villa Park, 17 years old for Plymouth, came on. It was a really good Aston Villa team, actually. I think we were 3-1 down. Lost the game 4-1, and David Platt was playing, Alan McInally, Gary Shaw. You know, it's a really strong team.
Did you smash Big Al?
Oh, do you know, listen, Stuart, do you remember Stuart Houston?
I do, Stuart, yeah.
Stuart Houston was the assistant manager.
He was assistant manager at Arsenal when I made my debut. There you go.
Well, there you go. There's the link, and he just put his arm around my shoulder, and obviously I can't use the expletive, like, you know, but he just said, if they're not wearing a green shirt, he said, just kick them. And he just released me onto the pitch, and I didn't need invite.
Possibly the worst thing ever.
Did you listen to that advice?
Oh, and I remember David Platt saying to me, you need to calm down, young man. You need to calm down. Like, you know, I had 20 minutes to leave an impression.
Brilliant, I love that.
I made sure I left an impression.
I give your memory 9 out of 10.
Oh.
The score was actually 5-2.
Was it 5-2?
Yeah.
It was 4-1 when I came on, then it was 5-2.
yeah.
But yes, lovely. I love that. And the connection, assistant manager. So when do you think yours was?
So it was against Southampton, 92.
I don't have the year, so I'll just nod.
Yeah, and actually I played for the youth team in the morning.
Did you?
Yeah, against Norwich and South East Counties at London Colney. And Pat Rice took me off at half-time. And I was me being an angry little man, I was fuming that he took me off, and he just pulled me to the side and basically said, look, get yourself back to Highbury. He said, don't hang around. He said, you're in the squad this afternoon. And I just thought I was going back to be in the squad, and then went back, and George had named me on the bench. Nobody said a thing to me then, do you know, usually...
What age were you?
20, 19, 20. And I came on, I think it was either 3-0 or 3-2 down. And came on. The first thing I do remember about first team football, remember Ken Moncow?
Yes. What?
Big, massive centre-half, Dutch centre-half. And my first touch, I'm out on the touchline, and he's launched me about 4 rows in.
You could do it back then, Paul. You could launch somebody back in them days.
And I thought,
welcome.
Wow. But to be fair to me, I busted myself down. The next time he got it, I absolutely launched him as well.
Good,
so,
good.
Which obviously a young kid coming in with the crowd and everything else was a good thing. And then Jimmy Carter. Remember Jimmy Carter, little winger?
Yeah.
He scored to make it 4-3 and ended up winning. So.
Can you remember what the final score was?
4-3.
It was.
Yeah.
Of course, he makes me think Cole Palmer did that when he was here, played in the youth team, and then came over and played in the men's team.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That was quite normal back then.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a home game on Saturday there, that he would play a half for the youth team. If George or the gaffer needed a couple of players to make up, then somebody would take you back and you'd be in the first team squad.
Little trip down memory lane. I love that. Thank you very much, gents. Thank you. So we are less than 15 minutes away now, 12 minutes away from the Women's Subway Cup. Yes. Subway League Cup game against Everton here at the Joy Stadium. You can get that full game on City Plus. We, of course, have got Mike Maine and Karen Bardsley over in the Joy Stadium. And Mike caught up with our new manager, Andre Jeglerts, a little bit earlier.
We have a plan, we have great football players, we just need to make sure that we, no matter what happens, just following the game plan and sticking to that.
The players are with us here. Alex Greenwood has had one final word with her players. Andre Jeglerts, opening his side, can start in a much stronger fashion here tonight.
Fagino strikes it brilliantly. Vivian Miedema as Manchester City's second of the night. Kirsten Kasperite. Going to be a debut for their new number 6, Grace Clinton. Carolyn pulls it back. There is the goal. It's a debut goal for Grace Clinton. Laura Coombs, it is 5. 5 goals, 5 different goal scorers, and a debut goal for Grace Clinton may grab the headlines.
Andre, excited to get going in the League Cup with Manchester City?
Yeah, of course. It's we are here to play games, and it's great to have a game as soon after the game against Tottenham. Yeah.
Your side scoring plenty of goals, 5 in the last game, 8 in 3 games so far this season. Do you feel that momentum's building now?
I think so, and especially that we are creating scoring chances in different ways. It's not just through one particular part of the game, so I'm pleased with that, for sure.
The League Cup means a lot to Manchester City women. It was their first major trophy they won on their formation in 2014. So how seriously are you taking it this year?
Of course. I think in this club, each game is something that you go in to win. And the same with the Cup and the competition we are part of, that we will definitely like to drive all the way to the final. And it starts today, so everything is into that game today.
You've rotated a lot, 7 changes from the win over Spurs, but it is still a very strong lineup. You're kind of giving minutes to those players that perhaps haven't had as many as they would like early in the season.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about showing the trust to the team. I think we have a fantastic squad. We have so many good football players, and my job is also to making sure that everybody has an opportunity to show what kind of qualities they have and bring things to the team, and this is a great opportunity for them.
And the standout perhaps of those changes is that Eartha Cummings gets her first start in a Manchester City shirt this evening. What can you tell us about her in the selection?
I think she has shown during these weeks, it's always tough to come into a new environment and not being on the field yet, but she definitely deserved to get a chance today, and really looking forward that she's enjoying it and here, and it's not it's probably also a thing that she feels that she's feeling our trust.
Well, best of luck. Enjoy the game.
Thank you very much.
That's Mike Maine speaking to our manager, Andre Yegler. So you've got 9 minutes until kick-off in the Women's League Cup tonight. City taking on Everton. That is, of course, the Subway Cup. That's the women's game. And then 7:45 for the men's game, Huddersfield versus Manchester City. So this is the situation for tonight. You can watch the women's game on City Plus. It's the only place to watch the full game. So you need to get yourself onto there if you're not currently watching us on there now. Get over to there now. If you're not subscribed, get yourself subscribed so you can watch the full women's game from 7 o'clock. We will be back with you at half-time of the women's game to discuss what has happened and to have a little look at the men's game. Then we will have the full second half for you on City Plus of the women's game. At the end of that, we will be back. We'll take a look at the women's game, and then we will switch to the men's game, and we will be doing a watch-along for you for the end of the men's game. Does that make sense?
Can you explain that again, please?
No. You two just sit there and talk football.
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, just talk football. That's all we need. So that is the situation tonight. City Plus, your women's starting 11 on the screen now for tonight's game. 7 minutes away. It feels mad being in the studio when the game's going to take place just over in the Joy Stadium. But we love the fact that it's in the Joy Stadium, Paul, because it's become a real fortress for us over the years.
And as the records are fantastic, the crowds are getting better all the time. I know the players really appreciate playing there as well, so I might actually bob out and watch 20 minutes of it and go for myself.
I was thinking that as well, but I don't know, we might need someone to give us a little, have one of those little carts that could drive us over and back. Cause,
a little golf buggy.
I'm not fast enough. I'm not fast enough.
You drive, though?
Yes. No, can't be trusted. OK, so the women's game shortly, and then the men's game will start at 7:45. Andy, final thoughts on the men's game?
Yeah, I think if, I spoke about it a few days ago, and I think if City are at their best, it's going to be a real tough night for an old club of mine. I spoke with Huddersfield and said, you've got to try and enjoy it, obviously. And the longer the game goes at 0-0, the more important it starts to become. When Manchester City come to town, it's almost a free hit, and it's a get out of jail with your directors, with your fans, with everyone, with your board. You can explain it like this is one of the best teams. But when you get to half-time, 0-0, and then even at 1-0, get to that 75th with penalties coming up, so they'll try and stay in it. But if City are at their best, it's going to be a tough night.
It's an interesting for them, though, because they've already knocked out 2 clubs in leagues above them to get here, Paul. Obviously, it's that kind of football cliche about it being a free hit for Huddersfield tonight. But we know, in terms of League One standards, they have spent a heck of a lot of money. Their aim is to get out of that league this year.
It is, and there's a lot of big clubs in there. You know, look at Stockport as well, Cardiff,
Bolton,
you know, big Bolton, Wigan. You know, a lot of clubs spend a lot of money, and I've watched obviously quite a bit of League One this season, and there's some really good teams in there. You know, there's not a lot of difference in the quality, but the quality is really high, and you know, it's a great game for them tonight. You know, if you end up getting beat 4 and 5,
it'd be a different game for them, Paul. Like they had 72% possession at the weekend. You know, 20 odd shots, I think, to Burton, 8. You know, so there'll be a different mentality tonight to have to try and stop a team that will dominate the ball. But they do try and play. We'll see.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andy Morrison. Thank you very much, Paul Dickoff. Thank you, everybody, for watching Match Day Live. We will be back with you half-time of the women's game. Get onto City Plus right now. If you're not currently watching on there, you'll get full coverage of the women's game, City taking on Everton. We're going to hand over to the Joy Stadium now to Mike Miney and to the wonderful Karen Bardsley. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Natalie. Nat, Paul and Andy, if you are to come over here from the studio, make sure you put your coats on. It is a little bit chilly this evening. Winter is on its way. It's certainly got that feeling. So the League Cup was the very first trophy Manchester City won as an official women's side in 2014. It could be the very next. It could be a first honour for new boss Andre Jeglerts. There's a long way to go for the Blues before then, a group stage to negotiate. First of all, Everton tonight, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest to come as well. It's not often that Manchester City come unstuck against the Toffees, particularly this competition where it's 7 games between the pair and 7 wins for Manchester City. And Karen Bardsley, it is a tournament that holds a strong place in the hearts of Manchester City women.
It certainly does. It was our first trophy, and it was my first experience winning with a club like this, and it set the stall out for the success to come.
Well, let's take a look at the starting 11s then. 7 changes from Andre Jeglerts after the big 5-1 thrashing of Spurs on Friday night. What that leads to is a debut in goal for Eartha Cummings, fresh from her summer move from Rosengard. Pryor and Wahhabi are joined in defence by Jade Rose. Yui Hasegawa continues that ever-present field in midfield, while up front Laura Coombs starts after scoring the 5th on Friday night and becoming Manchester City's 8th different goal scorer this season. Grace Clinton gets her first start in a blue shirt after a debut goal 5 days ago.
It's terrific to see her find a way into the starting 11. She's such a talented player, and I'm aching to see more of her, so I'm excited to see what we're going to see from her tonight.
And City make 7 changes. Everton make 8, 2 of them forced with injury to goalkeeper Courtney Brosnan and forward Kelly Gago sidelined through concussion protocols. The 3 that remain are all in defence: Ishikawa, Fernandez and Pacheco. Hayley Ladd has history in this City, albeit on the red side. And take note of a name on the bench, Ruby Mace, once in a City blue shirt, switched in the summer to play in the royal blue of Everton.
I was surprised not to see Ruby Mace in the starting 11 for Everton, but you know, she's a fantastic player. Obviously started here at Manchester City as a centre-back and has moved her way into the midfield, but technically really gifted the centre of the midfield for Everton, but unfortunately not tonight. So let's hope she comes off the bench, because I'd love to see her face.
A big team huddle for Manchester City ahead of the game. Just waiting to be joined by captain Laura Coombs to give that final rallying call. Plenty of players getting extra minutes this evening, having spent a little bit of time amongst the substitutes, and some important rest for those that have started the season in good style as well. 2014, 2016, 2019 and 2022.